We're live. It's Tuesday night. We had the NCAA tournament last week. Baseball starts this week. The NBA is talking about expansion. Confidential's back tomorrow. Let's bring in John here. I don't want to waste time. There's so much going on. John.
And it's almost tonight? Orioles season.
You got the Oreo shirt going. I see it. I see you looking excited about this baseball season.
Yeah, very excited. Of course, I love my Orioles. I bleed black and orange. So, 2 days away, JB.
Go to a doctor. You must go to a doctor. The season starts tomorrow night, John. Yankee baseball tomorrow night. We play, I think, the Giants, if I'm correct. Let's bring in Sean, though. Sean's filling in for Dave. Dave's at San Diego State, where St. John's just completed 2 amazing victories. Shout out to the St. John's Red Storm. We will do that multiple times tonight, even if I'm the only one that does it, because
you will be the only one that does it.
At least my team's still playing. Sean, how you doing tonight, Sean?
Everything's going good, man. I tell you what, when I saw those brackets, especially knowing the kryptonite that St. John's has been, I was like, I hope someone takes them out before they play UConn, because they have been a problem for UConn for the last 5-7 years.
Yeah, round 4, the NCAA, last week I went off on them because that was horrible. There's no reason to have the 2 best Big East teams in the same region. It was a waste. We still got to get past Duke, which I don't think we're doing, and it's not because I don't think we're good enough. I just think Duke is phenomenal, but the way Duke's played the first couple of games, it's possible, but I don't want to get my hopes too high just yet. And then we got to play UConn or Michigan State. I hope it's UConn because I know we beat them twice. But they're a really good team, too, and they beat us by 30-something. So, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that. But let's start with quick hits because I feel like I'm talking really quickly. All right, number 1. Lakers forward LeBron James held scoreless in the first half for the 3rd time in his career in a 113-110 loss to the Pistons. Signs of a fall-off or a new role on the team? Sean, we'll start with you.
I think it's more signs of him letting Luka do more of the heavy lifting down the stretch here and being ready for the playoffs. Because, as much as he looks great at his age, that the body is definitely taking its toll. So I think the less he can do now, and they could still win some games. Obviously, they lost a close one here, but that was coming off of after they had beaten Miami and Orlando. I believe Luka dropped 60 in the Miami game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's doing the right thing here. And instead of doing it from the bench, which would cause all types of complaints in terms of load management and all this other stuff we've heard about, at least he's just kind of, going 80-85% on the court, and we'll see him turn it up here, mid-April.
John?
I think the 80-85% is about all he's got left in the tank. I don't think he has 100%. I don't think he has a 40-point, 12 rebounds, 7 assists night. Like, I don't think he has that anymore. So what he's given you is about what he's got. But I mean, you're right. He is basically just, waiting until the playoffs to give everything he's got. Cause I think this is his final run. That's just my opinion. I don't think you're going to see any more LeBron after this. Like you said, the body's taking its toll and he knows it. And it's Luka's team anyway. But I mean, the only way they win games, Luka has to go crazy. And he just can't do that, in a 7-game series throughout the whole playoffs. It's not sustainable. So, yeah, of course it's a new role for him. He's like 400 years old and he has the most games ever played in the history of the NBA. So, of course, his body's failing him. Like, nobody's ever played that many games. And he has a patch to prove it. Like, what are we doing? Sean, what are we doing here? We have a patch that says most games played ever. Like, does like Tom Brady wear a patch that says 7 Super Bowl rings or most touchdowns ever or anything like that? No, that's stupid. Like, stop with the patches that say I have the most this and that. Like, we do not need to see that garbage. That's just stupid.
Yeah, I think the NBA's gone a little overboard with the uniforms and, now we could sell this one with the patch on it. It's all just about what else they could sell, but it's a little out of the box now.
So next week I wear the shirt that says greatest sports host ever because it's obvious I am. But LeBron, this is a new role. It's done for him. He's past his prime. He's still got something in the tank to help a team, but he's not the main guy anymore, which is nice to see. He had a great career. He's still going to contribute, but not in the same way as before. Good for him. JB for president. No, I'm not Stephen A. I'm not going to go that route.
I will say LeBron is the Frank Gore of the NBA.
Oh, he's a lot better.
His stats are there. Not that they're not great, but it's more of a longevity thing as opposed to like the most dominant. Like Frank Gore's like what, third or fourth all time in rushing. It's not because Frank Gore's the third best running back to ever do it. Frank Gore just, he just kept playing
for
football,
a running back.
Eventually, you play enough games,
But for a running back, that's pretty impressive.
No, I'm not saying that's not impressive.
For a basketball player, you could play a lot of years. There's a lot of guys that have played a
longevity thing.
Oh yeah,
as opposed to like
we all know how I feel about the king,
the greatest scorer of all time. Like I don't think he's the greatest scorer of all time just because he is. I don't think Emmitt Smith's great. I don't think Emmitt Smith's the greatest running back of all time just because he has the most yards of all time.
Right. I mean, I'm with you on that. I think it's definitely a new role, and the role will be diminishing. And as Byron Scott said, he'll be out of LA, but by the end of the year. All right, number 2. MLB 2026 season. If not the Dodgers, who could take the crown this year? So I'm going to start with this one. So the Dodgers won last year's World Series in Game 7 and barely got the World Series. The year before, if it wasn't for Aaron Boone and one really horrendous inning between Garrett Cole and Rizzo, it's 3-2 Yankees going into Game 6.
Weren't the Dodgers down 3-2 in this World Series as well?
Right, that's what I'm saying. There were 2 World Series. They weren't easy World Series. So, I don't know if it's necessarily the Dodgers that could take that. It's a cakewalk. The Yankees have shown throughout the 80s and early 90s, spending a lot of money does not make you a World Series champion. The Mets proved that last year. Who could take it? That's a great question. Did the Cubs do enough to win this year? The Yankees will be in the mix. The Orioles could come back. They're a good team. There's a lot of good teams in baseball. I don't think it's necessarily the Dodgers. John?
If not the Dodgers, I mean, I don't think anybody can beat the Dodgers. Like, they just toy with teams. Like, if they really played to their fullest potential and they're 100% healthy. Remember, Ohtani was coming back from his injury as well. So Ohtani should be full go this year, which is even more dangerous for them. They got even better, JB. That's something you didn't mention was they got better. I don't know how it's possible, but they managed to go out and get even better, even more dangerous. Who can take it? I mean, it's got to be the Dodgers, but I mean, I think Jay asked this a couple weeks ago, didn't he? Like, Jay, you're getting lazy because I think this is the second time you asked this, maybe in a different way, but I'm tired of answering this question. It's got to be the Orioles. Like, this.
Wow, there's a shocker.
Like, this team has to. They have all the talent, like, and they just added Pete Alonso. They added 2 guys that hit 30+ home runs last year. So, and their guys are finally healthy. Their starting pitching's finally healthy. If you look at what Rogers did, if JB, you don't know who Rogers is, go look at what Jake Arrieta did for the Cubs. That historic run where he had an ERA under 2. For the second half of the year. That's what Rogers did for the Orioles last year. Nobody's talking about it because the Orioles didn't make the playoffs. They didn't win a World Series. Nobody's talking about it because of that. But if the Orioles would have went to the playoffs in the World Series, everybody would have talked about what Rogers did because that was almost as good as Jake Arrieta's historic performance.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Like John said, like the Dodgers somehow, despite the payroll they're carrying, added to the stars they have. But I think, like you said, and we saw it last year, they struggled at different parts where even it looked like they were going to eventually, give up the division lead at points. So it's not, definitely not in the bag. And I think, even though Toronto lost Bichette, I think they're still, right there, especially given the fact that the Yankees have historically struggled inside the dome in Toronto. So it'd be interesting to see if Toronto can keep home field again versus the Yankees. I wouldn't put them out from taking the AL a second straight time, but in terms of the NL, maybe a little bit of a sleeper just because of how they finished last year. They dealt with a lot of injuries, but the staff was still very solid. Was the Atlanta Braves, and their hitting was just not on at all last year. So if they're go back to even what they did a year ago hitting wise and match it with what they did pitching wise last year, I could see them easily, being in that group up the top of the East in terms of the Mets, Phillies, and Braves.
So before we get to number 3, I noticed this one when I brought you in, Sean. You're wearing a Yukon Huskies sweatshirt, right? And that's like trolling me on my own show. Now I love you because you're putting in a lot of work. You're doing 2 shows and a lot of things behind the scenes. But wow, that's just cold. I don't like it. Number 3. Name a TV series you watch every episode, every season, several times over. John, you watch TV?
Oh, just a little bit. Well, I've watched The Office. I mean, we all have a million times, but I would say Scrubs for me. That's my favorite show. I've seen the series multiple times. We don't count season 9. That does not count, even though I've seen all the episodes. That does not count. So seasons 1 through 8, yes, I've rewatched over and over and over. It's the best medical show to ever exist. Better than ER, better than House. It mixes the perfect amount of comedy and drama, and the cast is dynamite from top to bottom. It's absolutely tremendous. The best medical show that's ever come out. Because you got to have some comedy in a medical show. Like, it can't be all drama. It's in a hospital. Like, those medical shows are all in hospitals, right? So if you're all in a hospital, it's already a depressing show. But if you have some comedy to pull it out, like House did, House is really good. They mix the comedy, a little bit of comedy with the drama. It makes it more palatable. But if it's like Grey's Anatomy, it's like, it's all drama. It's all drama. It's all it is. Like, sad, depressing, all drama. Like, sometimes you need a little bit of comedy, and Scrubs does the perfect job of blending the two together, and you're not really sure which one you're going to get when, if you haven't seen the series, which I've seen a million times. And then boom, like laugh, boom, they hit you with serious like stuff that teaches you life lessons and stuff like that really pertains to your life and your situation when you've lost a mom or dad or whatever. And boom, it hits you right in the feels. So, and they have great music, throughout the series. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just watching a couple episodes of The Office, which is running a lot here when I'm working. But Seinfeld is usually running over here. I've seen a lot of that, and it's it's interesting because in middle school, it's like you didn't catch everything that Seinfeld was actually laying down.
I hated
it. Now it's like, wow, I'm surprised they stayed on the air.
Wow, great choice. Love Seinfeld. For me, there's a few. So I'm gonna go with All in the Family. That's a TV show that cannot be on the air today. And it brought out so many things to light, and there's so much actually you could use for today's world, but no one would be able to put that on the air today because it would get taken off within the first week. Archie Bunker is a classic TV character. Rob Reiner, Meathead, was another great one. West Wing is phenomenal. I love West Wing. It's another great show. But for me, it's got to be All in the Family. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial. We come back. We got a treat. We're going to talk some St. John's basketball. We're going to abuse Sean a little bit for 2 out of 3 against them this year, about to be 3 out of 4. We'll be right back.
Sideline Sports live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Not a great league, the American League. The National League is far and away better.
I know we have those 4 games in
All
our
right, John, I'm
book.
going to stop you there. The Orioles haven't gotten to the World Series.
No, I'm just saying, if you're a fan
so.
of any team, Cam Newton's always.
Oh my gosh, you just say that name and I know something stupid's coming there.
8,000 points a game. What is Dragon Ball Z's in the WNBA now?
It's in a dog pile.
Stuff happens in the bottom of that pile you don't even want to know about. You get spit on, you get poked, you get poked in the eye, in the ear.
Yeah.
You get, yes.
He's not a leader. He's a child. Go play on your burner account and go have fun. KD. Shout out to KD, Mr. Burner account. One day you will acknowledge my tweets when I abuse you, or you'll have your burner account go after me because that's you. All right. Now let's talk about my favorite subject. Let's go to the videotape first to start, because if you missed this, you missed everything that was good on Sunday. Go ahead, Jay. Let's roll the tape. Look at that celebration. Thank you, Perry Sook, PIX11 Sports, for allowing us to use the video. We appreciate it. What a game. The referees were awful. St. John's couldn't hit the backside of a barn with the way they were shooting. Their defense is the best I've probably ever seen in basketball. Zuby's a star, but wow. The refs really don't like the NCAA, and the refs do not like the Big East, because that second half was officiated as horrible as I've seen. But what a drive by Darling. What a game. Sean, what did you take from that game?
Yeah, I mean, and this is something I've seen through the tournament, is the inconsistency with the officials. And it does definitely rear its head in terms of when we see like a Duke playing and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they got a few extra calls and we're within 4 now. But I think St. John's has done this, pretty consistently in terms of being clutch all year, even when they've had a bad game. And that's, like I said at the beginning, as someone who's watched them be kryptonite to UConn, I mean, they scare the shit out of me in terms of if they get past Duke, because I think that could be the end of the tournament for UConn.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think?
I mean, it's just like last year. I mean, St. John's did this. They looked good the first couple rounds, and then they ran into much tougher competition once they got to the second wave of games, which is coming this weekend, and that's whenever they're going to get knocked out. Just like last year's a nice little Cinderella run. It was cute, and then they'll get knocked out this coming weekend. And JB will be sad next Tuesday, and he'll make an excuse. Just like he always does. It's JB's thing. And then Sean will tell us about how man, UConn's still playing. Too bad you're St. Johnny's, whatever they're called. Nobody cares. Too bad they're not playing. So good for St. John's. Florida did what everybody else has done in the last 9 years, except UConn. UConn's the only champion to reach a Sweet 16 in the last 9 years. Everybody else has got knocked out around 32 or before that. And Florida has themselves to blame. Like, they 100% have themselves to blame. They played poorly all game. I guess they thought they could cakewalk this one because Iowa sucks. And that's just factual. Go look at Iowa's numbers. They suck. Just Florida played down to their competition, and then they tried to storm back. And the defense that they had on the game-winning 3 was some of the worst defense, JB, you've ever seen in your life. It looks like toddlers playing defense because there was nobody within 5 feet of the guy shooting the 3. I mean, they whiffed on the full court press. Guy was standing at the other end of the court, just standing there wide open like he was playing, like pick-up basketball or something. Yeah, and then Lee, I don't understand why he didn't lay the ball in for Florida, the game-winning shot. He said he passed it. He had the reverse layup, and nobody was going to block that. Just a matter of if it goes in, but he had the shot, passed up on it. So very uncharacteristic of Florida. But again, they did what every champion's done except UConn, and that's not reach a Sweet 16.
Yeah, I thought the defensive lapses between Kansas and Florida were quite bad. Cost them both the game. Kansas only had 2 team fouls. I mentioned the officiating already, so they kept fouling to get right before the limit. They should have stopped at 5 because then it gives you the opportunity, if you commit a foul before St. John's shoots, when you waste more clock, that you get away with it and it's ball out. It's not the NBA rules where it's 2 fouls in the final 2 minutes. And then on top of that, on the inbound play, Zuby came out to set a screen, so there was nobody in the middle, which left Darling wide open. On the Florida-Iowa play, like John said, the press just wasn't set up properly.
Well, why even call the press in that situation? You didn't have to. You're up 2. Like, calling the press is like you're trying to force a turnover.
Well, you're trying to waste some time, which I get, because you want to have a good
I
look
know
at the
what
basket.
But I get it. But you
have to do it right. Yeah, you have to do it right, because if you're going to do it, that's not a place where you could just say, we'll run a half-ass press. No, you got to be on point.
I just think Florida's big men, they got the wings that they have, the size that they have, you don't need to press there. You're up by 2. Iowa, you're the better team. You're winning. Like in that situation, that's more of a like you're trying to force a turnover or force a bad shot. But like if you just played your defense, you already know you have the better defenders than they have offenders. And if you play normal defense against them, chances are they probably are settling for like a jump shot inside the 3-point line to tie. But you handed them the three, and the guy in the corner is like, well, why wouldn't I shoot this? Like I'm standing here
wide open,
and nobody. I mean, JB, you could have made that shot, maybe not. But I could have made that shot, and I just don't understand Florida coming off a championship. That kind of call, that defense is just, I don't understand it. Maybe there's maybe Vegas was calling. I'm not sure, JB, but that's a head scratcher for sure for Florida.
Well, no,
yeah, I'm with you on that one. I would have played it straight up and trusted my defense. But I mean, historically, as a number one, Florida has not done well over the years. But for them to blow it that way, because for me, it brought back memories of the Lakers and Magic in the finals where they pressed them and the Lakers went up 3-1 instead of being 2-2 because there's too much of a chance someone gets out of position. Yep. And then you're rushing back to possibly get a hand in the shot, or like we saw here, it will lead to a wide open shot because guys are now scrambling. Oh, I've got to roll this way. I've got to cover this guy. Because once you lose one step on the ball handler, it turns into a fast break depending how far off they fall.
Yeah, it was just done terribly. If you're going to press in that situation, you have to make sure you have a guy back, and you're up 2. You gotta guard the 3. If you give up a fast break layup, no big deal. The game's tied. You're the better team. You should win it overtime. But going back to the St. John's game, St. John's couldn't hit the backside of a barn. Why you let the guy drive? Make him pass. If you didn't take that 6th foul, as soon as he started driving, you foul him, and then they got to rerun another play. They weren't going to hit an outside shot. So, these coaches are just baffling with their decisions. So who right now, when you look at the games coming up, you got Purdue versus Texas on Thursday night, the first game. Does anyone think Texas has a chance?
I mean, I think it'll be close. I think Purdue will pull it out, though.
John?
Yeah, I think Texas definitely has a chance. I mean, they're very impressive this past weekend. I think they have just as good of a chance as anybody. I mean, Purdue is, like I get they're a 2 seed, but I'm not going to go out and say they're like world beater. And to me, Texas was super impressive over the weekend. So I'm not saying Texas is going to win, but I think this game is going to be it's going to be closer than you think, JB. I think it'll be a nail biter, but I have Texas in my bracket for this one. I already picked Texas to beat them.
I like Purdue. Purdue is the preseason number 1. Unfortunately nowadays with colleges having so many new faces, it takes a while for a team to hit their stride. Yeah. And Purdue seems to have found their stride later in the year. I think they're going to be doing pretty well. Next, we got Nebraska against Iowa. If you saw this game coming to the Sweet 16, good for you, because I did not. And this is Nebraska finally won a tournament game this year. And not only did they win a tournament game, they found themselves in the Sweet 16. And they're going to make the Elite 8 because they're going to beat Iowa. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, both teams coming in here, obviously lots of momentum, Iowa coming off the upset in Florida, but Nebraska just, getting these 2 wins that not really expecting, I don't think really get out the first round. I like Nebraska here, but I think Iowa's confidence and what they've got coming, the momentum from Florida, this game's going to be another close one down to the end.
John?
I think Nebraska whoops them. I think Iowa, a lot of times when teams win a big game like that, the drop-off from there, whenever you got to wait almost a whole week to play, got to wait, 5-6 days to play, it's a long time to wait between that big of a win and then having to play and get that momentum back up, especially for a team that knows they shouldn't have been there, shouldn't have won that game. I think that emotional high is that's gonna be their Super Bowl, and I think Nebraska is gonna take them to the woodshed, and it's not gonna be close.
John, stay with you. Illinois versus Houston.
Illinois versus Houston. Houston's so well coached, man. Like that, they are so incredibly well coached. And they played Florida last year. I mean, that was a dogfight between the two of them, and either team could have won. I mean, that came down literally to the wire. Houston's extremely well coached. So I got to go with Houston here. No, nothing against Illinois. It's just Houston. They have the veterans. They have the pedigree. They could have been a national champion last year. If it wasn't for Florida, I think Houston would have won a national championship last year. Houston's going to be really tough to beat. I don't know. By the way, I don't know who Jay is a fan of, whether it's Houston where he lives or Texas, who he always like
in basketball. Houston.
I don't understand like which one he's a fan of, because the other day he was talking about going Houston, but he's like hook 'em horns. I don't understand this. I just had to throw that out there because he confuses me.
Sean?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Houston here. I think they're just well oiled. I see them actually getting onto the Final Four. But I think Houston's going to take this one. It'll be a good game, but I think Houston, like John said, is just super well coached, and they're consistent and they're efficient.
Yeah, I like Houston in this game. I want to root for Illinois. That would be, the team I'd prefer to win. I don't like Houston basketball. They've cost me money from time to time, so I'm never going to be a fan of a team that costs me money. And the Illinois, I actually have an Illinois football jersey. Don't ask me why. It was on sale. I don't pay full price for jerseys. Not worth it, guys.
Was that like Richard Mendenhall or Juice? I think it was Juice Williams.
Oh no, it's a JB Ellis.
Okay.
Original.
Okay. I thought you were going to say like Richard Mendenhall or something.
No, but I think Houston's the better team, although Illinois did have a really good year. Let's get to Friday night, the night I'm excited about. And thank you, the NCAA, for rooting for me already, because we're going to have the St. John's Duke game to start at the same time as Alabama, Michigan, which I would love to watch. So NCAA, F you again. You're horrible. Anyway. I think Duke wins by 7. I said that earlier this week. I really hope that doesn't happen. I can tell you, I yelled F Kansas probably about 40 times on Sunday. I'm probably going to yell F Duke 80 times on Friday because I hate Duke more than I hate Kansas. But I do think that they are the better team. I think we were better than Kansas. But
did you hate Kansas before you found out that St. John's was playing them?
I've never liked Duke or Kansas. They've never been a team I enjoyed. John?
Just had to ask for a friend. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go Duke in this against St. John's. Like I don't think I think this is where St. John's hits they hit their ceiling, and Duke is just so good, so well coached. But historically, whenever Duke, if they're not winning a national championship, this is where they crap the bed. Like, if you go and look at their losses, this is about whenever if they don't, they
haven't looked good, really.
Like if they don't go there, this is right about whenever the floor falls out from under them, and everybody's like, "What happened to Duke?" Like, so don't be surprised if this is whenever the trap door is pulled on Duke and St. John's moves on. Don't be surprised. So either way, I'm covered.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough, especially if St. John's shoots like they did the other night. I think Duke will not, allow that to be not taken advantage of. But Duke has not looked, particularly well these first 2 games. Not consistent all the way through. They've had, obviously second half surges to get the wins. But that also is, typically when you see a number 1 seed do that, they typically fix those problems in the second week. So it's definitely going to be a tough game, but if the shooting percentage is where it was versus Kansas, it's just tough sledding, I think.
So real quick, just announce Hubert Davis is out at North Carolina, guys.
Wow.
Not
that
really
was
shocking.
Expected. That's not a shocker to me. He's
but it's
underachieved.
So we're breaking news.
Yeah, he's underachieved for how many years?
But I will tell you, if St. John's beats Duke, I think we're going to the Final Four because I think we're going to end up playing UConn. So let's talk about that game.
JB, hold on. Hubert Davis is the Doc Rivers of men's college basketball. That's what I think of Hubert Davis. Most overrated, one of the most overrated coaches. Reminds me of Doc Rivers, one of the most overrated basketball coaches I've ever seen in my life. Hubert Davis is the equivalent of
at least Doc Rivers has done something. What did Hubert Davis really do in coaching?
He had a lot of great years. in college basketball, and now he's got a great program, and he's just underachieving.
Yeah.
They have nice regular seasons, and then in the tournament they flop, and that sounds like Doc Rivers to a T. So he is the equivalent of Doc Rivers. That's what
now, I'm
Michigan
not giving
State-
Hubert any excuses, but do you think the fact that Carolina focused their, bulk of their NIL money to help Belichick out may have hurt the basketball program?
I think they still spent a hell of a lot of basketball. I think Hubert's not the right guy. But let's
He's
talk
not the
about
right
UConn, Michigan State. Start with you, Sean. Since you got that ugly sweatshirt on.
I think we'll advance here, but this is another opponent that historically has been tough for UConn, especially when they meet in the tournament. Michigan State, it obviously is always a well-coached team. They're always good on the fundamentals. It's one of those games that you're a high turnover game is going to be hard to beat a Michigan State team. So if UConn is not on top of their stuff and they're turning the ball over, and Michigan State is not, I could definitely see an easily be an upset here.
So real quick, Sean, were you shocked by Coach Hurley saying, truce, let's all root for each other on Friday night?
Yeah. I mean, he's dropped several things over the years, I guess, quotable wise, but I think it's just one of these things, especially in the error. And I know this has been, talked about in terms of the less upsets. Is he saying that because it's NIL and, the level is kind of evening out at the top, but at the bottom, it's, really bottoming out if there's, you're a lower school. But I was surprised for the competitor that he usually is for him to be like, yeah, let's all, clap hands and kumbaya.
Yeah. I mean, as a St. John's guy, I root for the whole Big East of the tournament. I want to see them all do well, except until we play each other. Then I want to destroy you. But for a head coach to come out and say, let's have a truce and have our fans root for each other, I thought that was interesting. John, what do you think about UConn, Michigan State?
Sean, I'm a fan of the Orioles, clearly. I got the Orioles shirt on. I'm not rooting for the Rays. I'm not rooting for the Yankees. I'm not rooting for the Blue Jays. And I'm sure as hell not rooting for the Red Sox. So, JB, I don't understand this infatuation with rooting for the Big East. Whenever you're a fan of St. John's, it makes absolutely no sense because I hate the AL East aside from my Orioles. I hate the AFC East aside from the Dolphins. Like I hate everybody in every division that my teams are in. I hate the entire SEC.
We get money if they advance. So I want that money.
I want all that Florida, money. My Gators, I hate everybody in the SEC. I hate them all. I hope they lose every game except the conference. I mean, if they could lose every conference game against each other, please do that too.
It hurts you in college sports.
Like JB, I always tell everybody, I hate 31 NFL teams. The only one I like is the Dolphins. Everybody else, I hate you because that's what you should do, JB. You shouldn't be rooting.
In the NFL, it's fine, but
it makes no sense. Your logic.
You need your conference to be good so you get respect, John.
No, you need.
Who do you like in the UConn Michigan State game? Because we're running over on this segment, and we still got 2 more games.
UConn, of course, but man, Tom Izzo, he is him. He's always been him. Like that guy. It doesn't matter what year it is. When you coach against that guy, you got to bring it. It's going to be a hard game. They're, like Sean said, they're always well coached, tough defense. They're always in the right spots. He always has them in the right place. So I think UConn, but I think it's going to be really close. Like UConn's really good, and they can blow anybody out except Florida. But yeah, I think it's going to be really close.
And I know, given as long as Izzo's been there, they've obviously taken some bad losses in the tournament, but historically, they are almost in every game, even when they lose in the tournament. It's a tough out to get Michigan State out of the tournament.
Listen, if St. John's could have hired Izzo, I'd be thrilled. We got Pitino, which is, that same class of coach. So I'm thrilled. Izzo is definitely him. But I think UConn has more talent at the moment. But UConn's got to play their game, which they don't do all the time. They fall into lapses where they disappear. If they do that against Michigan State, they're going to get run out of the gym. I don't really want to see, round 4 if St. John's wins, but I don't want to play Michigan State, so UConn better win if we win. Because I know we could beat them. Michigan State, I don't know. Izzo's a really good coach. So I'm going to go with UConn here. But the game that I really want to watch, and again, the NCAA has screwed me. Alabama, Michigan. So I've gotten to see both these teams play St. John's. We lost to Michigan in a scrimmage because it was before the season started by 2. And we lost to Alabama. I forget what the score was. I think it was by 6. It was both great games. They were in both games. I think Michigan's a little bit better. I've watched Michigan a little bit more this year. I like Michigan here, but I don't see them getting to the Final Four, though. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great game. I think I would love to see Alabama win. I think Michigan pulls it off, but Alabama's been playing some great basketball. But I could see it coming down to a last-second shot or even going to overtime. This is going to be a great back-and-forth game.
John?
I think this is where Alabama's run ends. They're more of a college football team, and Michigan they're just great all the way around when it comes to basketball and football. So I got to go Michigan here. I think they're going to beat them by at least 7. Giving me that, and the money line, if you can give them, -6.5, I would go -6.5 on the spread there. If I'm pulling from Michigan, which I would, because again, I hate everybody in the SEC that's not Florida. So go blue.
All right, last game: Iowa State versus Tennessee. Iowa State is my dark horse to make the Final Four because nobody thinks they're that good, even though they got a 2 seed. I love Iowa State. Got to see them play St. John's. They are a good team. They are the best team I've seen this year. And I told you we played Michigan, we played Alabama, and we played a lot of heavyweights. We haven't played Duke yet. I'll let you know if I think Duke's better by watching that game, but I think Iowa State's the team in the Final Four this year. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it's one of those things where because it's Iowa State, a lot of people don't catch their games. They're on late, usually on top of just being out in the middle of nowhere. But they're a solid team, and I mean, they may not sneak up on Tennessee, but I don't see Tennessee beating them either.
John?
The best team in Iowa is Iowa State. We don't consider any other teams to exist there except Iowa State. We love Iowa State. The best team that's named Iowa anything. The only team that's named Iowa anything, Iowa State. So Tennessee's, to me, they're the worst team remaining, I think.
Wow.
I think they're the worst team remaining. I think they beat Miami of Ohio, I think, is a really good team. But Tennessee hasn't proved anything. I think all these other teams have proved something so far, but I don't think Tennessee's really shown us anything because we all thought they were going to get beat by Miami of Ohio. I picked them in my bracket. I think we all thought that upset was coming, and it didn't happen. But to me, Tennessee hasn't shown us anything yet. And we all kind of had our doubts about them. I still have my doubts. So I think Iowa State is gonna get one on them. I think they beat them by at least 5. So give me -4.5 on Iowa State. I think I could probably get +200 on those odds.
I don't know about that, John. They're favorites.
I think you could.
Jay,
I think you could get a nice amount for Iowa State winning by at least 5. I guarantee.
That's the line. The line right now is -4.5, John.
Exactly. See what I'm saying?
So
but if you go them -4.5 Iowa State, you could probably get +200.
No, -4.5. John, -4.5 is -110 at the moment. So
see, that's off. For Tennessee.
No, that's Iowa State, John.
Okay, all right. See, I told you if you go at least 5.
You gotta go way more. Jay, before we go to commercial, Jay, run that Perry Sook video one more time. Shout out to PAX 11 Sports and Perry Sook. We're gonna watch one more time because Sean's got the UConn jersey hoodie on. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sideline Sports live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Kilton Clark is Larry Bird, I would say, and Paige Beckers is Magic Johnson.
It's kind of like an oxymoron,
Yeah, moron is right.
Maybe when they listen to people like you, that's how they continue being the Browns.
He did have that type of talent for the pro level, but the scouts failed the team.
I disagree. The Panthers, I'm not saying they're making the playoffs, but they're going to be really hard to beat this year. Bryce
They're not
Young,
winning the
might have
division.
heard.
So they're not winning the division. Hooked up with some chick, and then he told her he was a linebacker.
All right,
they
we're
did
back.
win the division. I was right. They did win the division. They were really hard to beat.
And you said they weren't making the playoffs, though. So
I said I'm
you're
not
wrong.
saying they're not making the playoffs, but they're going to be really hard to beat.
John,
I
I override. You're wrong. All right, let's talk about some NBA expansion because we need more teams for us to target. March 2026, which is right about now, the vote to take place on NBA expansion. The Las Vegas and Seattle are the current front runners to receive a team. So let's start with this. We had a team in Seattle. They now play in Oklahoma City. Why are we going back to Seattle? Sean, does that make sense? Do they need a team?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where, Seattle has always been clamoring from the day the Sonics left, to get the team back. I think there was I don't know all the details, I haven't looked into it enough, but I think it was very similar to the Browns situation way back in the day in terms of why the Sonics actually left Seattle. And I think, one of the things I don't like is currently Gary Payton is the Thunder assist record holder because of how things went down.
Yeah, that's
even though the Thunder don't acknowledge that, there is no record for Gary Payton in Seattle right now. So just from that, I want the Sonics back, but just from the fact they were such a classic franchise, I would prefer seeing Seattle first and then letting them do an expansion to Las Vegas later. It does worry me if you're Seattle that Las Vegas has been building basically Madison Square Garden on steroids and planning for an NBA team for about a decade. And that arena is basically almost ready to go. So I could definitely see Vegas winning this bid, but as an NBA fan, I really hope it's Seattle.
So, I mean, is there only going to be one expansion team? Is that what we're saying? There's got to be two, right?
No, it's two. I believe it's two that are supposed to get teams, and these two are the front runners. I haven't heard any other locations as of right now. I haven't heard any locations besides these two as legitimate places. I don't know.
I'm not sure why nobody in the Bronx hasn't submitted a bid for a team. I mean, we need a third team in New York, or New Jersey. I mean, they lost the Nets to Brooklyn.
So here's the other cities, guys: Nashville, Kansas City, and Montreal.
Ooh, Montreal.
Would Pittsburgh take a basketball team? Would that work? Are they too blue collary to care about basketball?
I mean,
I feel like Pittsburgh would be a fun city to have a basketball team. They love.
I don't know. I mean, they have everything else. Why not?
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm trying to think of cities that you could, hunker down a basketball team.
So weren't the Lakers back in the day in Kansas City?
Yep. Yeah.
So
Kansas City Lakers.
Could they at this point do basketball? I mean, why not? They're another three. Well, they don't have hockey. They have two sports.
And we know, Nashville obviously is in the mix for other, franchises as well. So maybe they're making a push. They just got the hockey team, several years ago, so that they're added to their sports, front as they go here.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Vegas and Seattle to me out of that list just seems logical.
You don't need another Vegas team, man. We've got a million of them. They keep trying to push the rock on Vegas. Like, it's not like a sports town per se. It's all about the strip.
The casino.
You know what I mean? It's not like there's dedicated fans there that are diehard. You know what I mean? Like trying to bring the A's there. It just doesn't.
I think for me, it's going to be very much like Miami when they first got the Heat. They're going to be super popular, but then eventually it's going to die off, and it's going to be playoff attendance.
Well, what I'm saying is they tried to force the Chargers to go to LA and the Rams to go to LA, and those games, their home games aren't really like home games, like normal teams' home games, because it's kind of forced there, so I feel like putting an NBA team there will be forced there, kind of like the A's going there are going to be forced there, and people are going to be like, all right, it's something to do, but you're not going to get the die hard like you do Buffalo and all these other places. It's going to take a long time to get to that.
Nashville sounds like an old video game. There was an old video game. I think it was Double Dribble. They had a Nashville team.
Can we just yank the Grizzlies out of Memphis? Nobody wants them in Memphis.
Yeah.
Draymond Green talked the other day about how he hates them being in Memphis. He hates that trip. It's the only trip he hates. Let's just move them out of Memphis, move them to Nashville or something, because nobody likes Memphis.
Wow. I mean, I like the Montreal idea, and then you give Toronto at least an in-country rival again, like they have with Vancouver.
But you got to have the Supersonics. You got to have the Supersonics.
So you're no on Vegas, John. You're anti-Vegas, and you want to go to Montreal?
Oh, of course. Like he said, it adds more, somebody for the Raptors to fight.
And you want to move Memphis over to Nashville.
Nashville, yes.
And then you're good.
Yes.
Then the NBA set. You don't have to do
Well, you also got to take, I think you got to take, they're talking about taking the T-Wolves and moving them to the Eastern Conference if this happens.
Well, I'm not talking about conference realignment. Yeah, I'm not talking about conference realignment now. I'm just talking about cities that have teams.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to have the Sonics back. I don't understand why they got moved in the first place. The jerseys were great. Everything was just great. There was so much history with Sean Kemp and, all them guys are so much great history. And then you just yanked them out and moved them to OKC. Like, you need them back there. It's just
like, how did Oklahoma City get a freaking team like
in the middle of nowhere? Like, hey, let's plop them down somewhere where there's like 700 people. Like, let's do that.
That's a wild place for a team. Why not the South Dakota team? I mean, or North Dakota, the Idaho Storm Barners or something. I mean, we're just going to throw.
I mean, you could put a team. You could put a team in North Carolina. They love their basketball. They love their hockey. Best hockey team. Best. Nobody cares. That's Charlotte. Talking about
North Carolina.
Raleigh, not Charlotte.
So you want to put a second team?
Yes.
In Carolina.
Yes. You need
and take away from the fan base.
You need that rivalry.
Wow.
John, that would be great.
John, that's why you don't run the NBA, John. You're going to take away the fans of the Charlotte Hornets.
Vampire that's running the league right now.
Wow. John's going to be the commish. We're in trouble.
I would love it. JB, Duke UNC's rivalry is maybe the best rivalry in sports.
College is different. We just went through this when we spoke about college basketball.
If you build it, they will come. I heard that somewhere. If you build it, they will come, JB. So
why doesn't Iowa have a team? I mean, seriously.
Nobody cares about Iowa.
I mean, the people of Iowa, they don't deserve professional sports.
Iowa State.
They don't deserve professional sports.
No, they don't. There's like 1,000 people there. Nobody cares.
John has no respect for the people of Iowa.
Absolutely none.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was gonna say, so it's I think I'm with you. College, the rivalries are a lot different because even if Duke and North Carolina are having a bad season, that's still a huge game, right? Even if one of them's having a bad season, that's still a huge game. But like, if Orlando sucks and Miami's coming to town, I don't care.
Yeah, it's so different.
Yeah, but Orlando's never won anything. Miami has.
No, but I'm just saying in terms of in-state rivalry, you'll be doing the same thing because Charlotte hasn't done anything.
Yeah, but they're a really good team this year. They're up and coming, and you got to build it eventually. You got to start building rivalries.
I mean, this is the first time really since Larry Johnson that I've been talking about the Hornets.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're pretty good this year. They got a nice young nucleus, so
they're a fun watch for sure.
Next year's Southeast. We said this on Sports Insiders because we did the playoff race. I wouldn't be in doubt at all if the Southeast puts in 5 teams next year because that division is scary pre-free agency.
Yeah, no, they definitely. There's a lot of young teams that are good. It's just
you don't need the Wizards in that division anyway. You can move the Wizards out of there if you're doing this realignment stuff. What are the Wizards doing in that division? Like you can move them out of there.
They actually have a good young nucleus, and when healthy, they actually have some players.
And Anthony Davis in waiting.
Yeah,
they have Trae Young
and Anthony Davis. I mean, if Anthony Davis could play 60 games, it'd be a miracle.
He could play 16 games, it would be a miracle.
All right, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little baseball, and then we're going to go home. We'll be right back.
Sideline Sports live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
It's not a great league, the American League. The National League is far and away better.
I know we have those 4 games in
All
our
right, John, I'm going
pocket.
to stop you there. The Orioles haven't gotten to the World
No,
Series.
I'm just saying,
in,
if you're a
decades,
fan
so-
of any team, Cam Newton's always.
Oh my gosh, you just say that name and I know something stupid's coming there.
8,000 points a game. What is Dragon Ball Z's in the WNBA now?
It's in a dog pile.
Stuff happens in the bottom of that
Hey,
pile
a
you
lot of
don't even
stuff.
want to know about. You get spit on, you get poked, you get poked
Your
in the
hair
eye
is
and the
pulled.
ear.
Yeah.
You get, yes.
He's not a leader. He's a child. Go play on your burner account and go have fun.
So if you're just watching for the first time, or if you're watching every week like most normal people would, and we expect that you tune in every Tuesday, you know that it's baseball season, and starting tomorrow, the season starts. And after that, we'll go on for like 6 months. We'll be much older. The season will end. But the fun part about baseball season is we have Confidential. This is our 5th year. And not only is it our 5th year, it's going to be our best year. Sideline Sports is expanding. We're doing all sorts of really cool things. We got the Rubio Method. We got AC Live. We got Chevy and Nasty, The Ride. So I said, you know what? I got to up Confidential. So we reached out to former Cub Brian McRae, great guy, great big leaguer. He's going to co-host the show with me, so we're going to have some fun. We're going to start season 5 tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sideline Sports. We're going to talk Cub baseball. We do talk about some other teams throughout the year. It's mostly a Cub show. Our former producer, Jake, who is in Pittsburgh, will come on. I'm sure we play Pittsburgh. We do have some, team fans of some of the other teams come on. Candy Morgenroth came on when Milwaukee played. She's a huge Milwaukee fan. It's not an Oreo show, so it's a great show. I hear you laughing back there, John. It's the best Cub show in the world. And now I get to work with 2 former professional athletes, one on each show. It's phenomenal. Go Bucks, go, Jake. Wow. I see how it is. I mean, it'd be nice to see the Pirates actually do something, but it's not going to happen this year. I think John Shear, used to have an Oreo show, would try to get it back, because we used to have some fun. What happened?
We're having discussions right now with some former players. And hey, Jake, I see you in the comment section. Whenever Skeens wants to come, to Baltimore, he's welcome to. The door's open for him to come to Baltimore whenever he would like to and be an ace and look at a real franchise. I know you guys don't know what winning looks like, but Baltimore does. And I mean, we both got beautiful ballparks. We share that as we got a beautiful one, and you guys got a beautiful ballpark. Yours is number 2 to our number 1. But yeah, whenever Skeens wants to go to Baltimore, he is more than welcome. We will keep the door open for him. The light is always on, like a Motel 6. The light is always on.
Skeens is not going to Baltimore.
The door's open, JB. I'm not closing the door.
There's 3 spots where he'll end up. One of the New York teams, which is counting as one, the north side of Chicago with the Cubs, or the Dodgers. He's not going anywhere else. And the fact that the Pirates don't want to just spend the money now and lock him up doesn't even make sense. It's almost like the Tigers and Scooble. Just lock these guys up. Why are you waiting? You're going to end up losing them. Unless you're trading them for something huge, lock them up. Doesn't make sense. I mean, enjoy the baseball season this year, because next year, God only knows if we're going to have one, thanks to the Dodgers spending $85 billion on a team. It's going to be ugly.
We need a salary cap. I've been pining for it for years, JB. I can't wait for a salary cap.
I don't like
baseball. Can be exciting, just like football.
We need we definitely need a floor. We need a floor too, though. You can't just have.
It creates parity, and parity creates.
So you could have a cap on the top, but you have to have the bottom as well, John. You can't have owners like Tampa, and they actually do well without spending money. But the Oakland, now Sacramento, soon to be Las Vegas, they don't spend money. What are they doing?
No, but I believe typically with they give you an allotted amount of money, much like anything. Whenever you get a certain amount of money, like a stipend, you have to spend it or you lose it. So hopefully that's how it is in the MLB, where they make it where the owners have to spend the money, or or it goes back to the MLB type of thing. Hopefully they make it like that. That's my hope.
There has
I'm
to
not
be.
putting a
There's
lot
not
of faith in Rob Manfred because I don't believe in him as a commissioner, but that's my hope, is that they do that.
So real quick, during the offseason, there was the talk about the golden at bat. Was that not the biggest joke you've ever heard? And if you don't know what it is, I'll explain it. But real quick, they would like that idea.
No.
Sean?
I actually didn't catch that. Go ahead.
So basically, it was one time per game. You could decide anybody you want to bat at any time. So, if, what you call it, if Ohtani was just up, and bases were loaded and he flew out, you could have him bat again. And, it's once per game.
I think it, even with the whole DH thing, I didn't like that maneuver, because I think it just
pitchers.
It just takes away from how baseball was built. And I think it's part of the reason now that you're seeing teams where it's, it really is strikeout or home run for a lot of teams. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of doubles unless they, Toronto and like even Tampa, some teams play different ways in terms of, not hitting, 900 home runs, but like the Yankees and Dodgers depend on their power essentially. But in terms of the cap, I agree. You've got to set up a spending floor, because Tampa's not hitting an average every year, and same thing with Oakland. They purposely bottomed out to get this move to Vegas. You have to do at least like the NFL, where you have to spend 80 to 85% of at least a soft cap over a 3-year period. And that way, at least it's guaranteeing you should be raising the competitive level a little bit. At the end of the day, though, baseball's bottom line is always going to be do you have enough talent in your farm to either steal talent that's developed, or develop and go like the Rays and the Brewers and be good for a few years here, but know that when too much of that talent comes up from contracts, you're going to have to bottom out a little bit and then rebuild it.
And then another thing that I want to add that baseball should do, and I've always hated it, and I don't know how much you're allowed to comment on it, Sean, because I know you're, what you got going on. But I always felt that your clock as a baseball player should be when you sign the contract with the team. If you start, obviously you're going to start in the minors when you sign the contract. That's when your contract starts. Not, I got to the majors. Okay, now you got to have 6 years of service time, and we can throw you in the minors so that way you don't get as much service time, and then you're not going to be a free agent. This doesn't count as your rookie year because you didn't play that much and you didn't get that many innings, and we sent you back down so that way you didn't get that much play time. So then it doesn't count as your rookie year or whatever. Like, doing stuff like that drives me crazy. It should just count like as soon as you sign your contract in the minors, boom, 5-6 years, whatever you want to do for that. After 5-6 years, you can become a free agent. Not, you spent 2 years in the minors. Okay, now you got to spend 6 years in the majors, and then you can become a free agent. Well, now you're 30 years old, and you get to hit free agency as a pitcher for the first time. It's kind of hard because, arms don't last that long. I always hated that in baseball because it's not fair to players.
Knowing that they play with that June 15th date, it's something we've seen with guys that have no reason to sit in the minors.
Yep.
Like they play with that date because then they hold an extra year of rights over the player.
Yep.
And then certain guys that they know are not going to stick the whole year, they'll call them up for their maximum. I think it's 20 games now that they can actually play and not be considered. It used to be 10, but I believe it's 20 now.
I think you're right.
So they'll get them to 19 games and they'll send them back down, and they still hold the year of team control.
Yep.
And I think 7 years is absolutely asinine to get to free agency. I understand there's arbitration if you outplay, your numbers, and then there's restricted once you get to year 4 and 5 and all this stuff. But really, the only way you can make money basically is if you perform really well and force arbitration on your team. If not, you're sitting there for 7 years. And I just think that's part of what limits baseball, because you don't have the same movement. Yes, the free agent classes are decent sizes, but it's not the same movement as all the other leagues that we see.
Without a doubt.
That's JB. That's what makes it so great in the NFL is whenever we see these moves that the guys hit free agency or they're about to, and then they get traded. Like that's what makes it's not just the game being played, JB. It's like the drama, the stories, the excitement, the Adam Schefter being like, oh, Chase Claypool was about to become a free agent, but he got dealt for a 3rd round pick. Like that crap excites us.
I mean, especially, I know we got the stuff around Lamar, but can you imagine? Like, and that doesn't happen in football. Those guys don't hit free agency, but baseball, they do. It just takes them a decade to get there.
Yep. And then they're 31, 32, and it's like, okay, well, if you're a pitcher at 31 or 32, it's going to be hard to get a nice long contract of 7-8 years like you want, because those teams are going to look at you and say, well, I mean, in 3-4 years, your arm might not be what we had bought it for at 31 years old. So why would we sign you to a 7-8 year contract? And it's like, well, you kept me in the minors for N plus my service time. You kept me until I was 31 before I could hit free agency. Like that's just,
it's absurd. The whole system is absurd. It's not good.
That I want change more than the salary cap, JB.
Rob Manfred. Listen, Rob Manfred is ruining baseball single-handedly. We got the ABS system coming into play this year, so umpires really are kind of useless. We have challenges. We have umpires that don't know how to call things. We have a pitch clock. We have a DH in the National League. I could go on. This is not our baseball anymore. This is now, a hybrid game that's pretty sad, but we watch it. But we'll be back next week with some good sports talk because we're good. The MLB, not so good. See you next week, guys.